Here are your AARP top tips for growing veggies in pots and other containers. If you want to grow veggies at home, a container garden is a great option. Perfect for balconies and patios, potted veggies can be high yield and low maintenance. Here are 5 tips for growing healthy veggies in pots. Choose container-friendly plants. Compact, high-output tomatoes like patio and cherry varieties are great choices. Hot peppers also grow well in pots and can be bountiful. Salad greens grow quickly from seeds, and you can harvest tender leaves multiple times each season. Check your seed packets or a plant growing guide to find out when to plant based on where you live. Big pots are best. Larger plants need plenty of space for their roots and their fruits to grow. Containers should be at least 12 inches across for many plants. Make sure the pot has drainage holes in the bottom so your plant's roots don't mold. And use a quick-draining, soilless potting mix. Garden soil is too dense for pots. Sunlight and water are key. Most vegetables need at least 6 hours of sunlight per day. Place tomatoes and peppers in direct sun. Greens can handle part shade, especially in hot climates. Water evenly and regularly in the heat of summer. Some plants need water once or twice per day. A good test is to feel the soil about an inch below the surface. If it's dry, give your plants a drink. Support your plants. Taller plants like tomatoes and bell peppers need supports to stay upright. Sturdy tomato cages work well. Put them in place when you plant to avoid damaging the leaves. Garden stakes and wire ties can help support your peppers. Feed your plants. Potted veggies soak up the soil's nutrients. Use natural additives to keep your plants chemical-free. Liquid kelp and organic slow-release fertilizers are great veggie food. Follow instructions for your specific veggies and don't overfeed. Enjoy your delicious homegrown veggies. For more tips for your home, go to aarp.org/home-family.
Welcome to AARP Illinois' virtual event. It's so wonderful to have you with us. AARP is on a mission to connect with individuals across various communities, especially those aged 50 and above. We're here to listen, understand, and address the unique needs of you and your community as we age. Our goal is to enrich your experience by expanding our local activities, providing opportunities for you to discover and engage with all that life has to offer right here in your own community and virtually. As we journey through today's event, we invite you to consider joining our dedicated team of AARP volunteers. It's a chance to make a meaningful impact and help us better serve those 50 plus across the nation. Connect with us and be a part of this vibrant movement toward positive change. Welcome, and let's make this event both fun and transformative.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. You're joining AARP, and we're here with Steve Hartley, our volunteer, and we're going to be talking lawn envy. So for all of you that re-registered, I've been privileged to be in email communication with you, and we just want to say thank you for being with us. This is fun. This is a class that when we go, Steve, you can tell me, when we do this in person, prior to the pandemic, we would probably have 75 to even more. And this class is always amazing to me because I learn a little bit more, and then I learned that I'm just right now I'm going to trust my husband because Steve is the best at it. But so real quick, just some basic things that if you're interested in more AARP events, next Tuesday we have another yoga class. Next Thursday, I believe we have a live conversation with industry leaders in Illinois Manufacturers Association, Illinois Retail Merchant Association about food supply, food insecurity, supply chain. Really good question. I know we got a lot of people interested across the nation about that. And then also we're going to have some technology classes. So come back, stay tuned, look for our information on our Facebook page. Steve's going to be back teaching those, and that's going to be the basics. And we're talking the basics, and then we're going to go a little bit more, and then we're going to go into how to really take great pictures and really impress everyone you know. So if you are always interested in teaching with us or doing what Steve is doing from the comfort of his home, we love to have you. Contact Ellen Acevedo. She is our just really great as Associate State Director, onboarding volunteers, and she specializes in this. So you could be on air with us at any time. So Steve, any words of wisdom before we go to the screen?
Well, I appreciate you allowing me to do this. I'm hoping that all of you spend the next hour or so learning some of the things that you need to know or may not know about to have your lawn look better than anyone's in the neighborhood. I've taught this class for several years now. In fact, I actually, with Lori's help, helped create this lawn class.
Absolutely.
So
we're ready when you are, Steve. I can do the next slide.
Okay, as you can see, there's a big difference between these two lawns. One of them is the envy of the neighborhood, and the other one is probably a typical lawn that you see no matter where you're at. It's just a weed-infested mess. So we're going to try to teach you how to go from the right side of your screen to the left side. But there are some things that you need to understand from the very beginning. A beautiful lawn requires a lot of work. If you are not willing to put time and effort, you will never be the envy of the neighborhood. If you don't want to water your lawn, it will never be the best in your area. If you won't kill weeds, you will never have a beautiful lawn. These are all the things that right up front you need to understand that you'll need to do before you can be in the envy of the neighborhood. But if you do these few important things, you can achieve a lawn that everybody in the neighborhood is talking about. Some of the things we're going to talk about today is lawn tools. You don't need a whole lot, but there are some ones that will make your project go a little easier. Fertilizers, we're going to tell you what kind and when to use them. Mowing, it's more than what you think. If you aren't understanding how to mow, it can actually harm your lawn. Watering, that's a big issue. How, when, how often, and how much. We're going to tell you how to go about doing that. Weeds, steps to keep them out of your lawn. Weeds always grow better than grass until you get your lawn established, and then there actually is a barrier to keep weeds out. Insects, they can be really harmful to your lawn, and we're going to show you how to take care of them, what kind of they are. Repairs, when and how to repair your lawn, and prepping for winter, the end of fall steps for spring success, and finishing touches. We're going to talk about how to manicure your lawn. It's no different than keeping your hair trimmed and things like that. You'll look better. Your lawn will look better if you take care of it and manicure it. Lawn, some of the things that you'll need for this class to make your lawn look nicer. Of course, you need a mower. We all need a mower. A fertilizer spreader. Now, you don't have to spend a lot of money for a fertilizer spreader. In fact, as you get closer to the fall, a lot of your home and garden places will have the spreaders on sale. Depending on the size of your lawn, a small one, as you see pictured here, is more than adequate to do the job. If you have a larger lawn, then maybe you might want to look at something a little bit bigger than what this is shown here in this picture. But you will definitely need a fertilizer spreader. A couple other things is a trimmer or a weed whacker. Now, that might be the most expensive thing we're going to talk about, but yet then again, as the end of the year gets around and during some of the holiday seasons, a lot of places have this type of apparatus on sale. So you get a pretty good one for around $100. The thing that we see on the left, or the right, I'm sorry, is a typical sprayer. I tell people all the time that these you can purchase for under $10. And I would suggest that you do not get anything any more than 1 gallon. And the reason for that is it's pretty heavy. So I made the mistake one time and thinking, well, I won't have to mix up my application material if I buy a bigger container. Then I realized that you're hauling around a lot of weight. Edge, an edger. Now, sometimes you can do that by using the same weed whacker and just turn it on its side to do an edger, or you can go out and buy one that's made specifically for it. They work a lot better, but you don't have to buy a separate one. You can use your weed whacker and just turn it on its side like this gentleman's doing. And of course, we need a water hose. That's very important because you're going to need to water. And we're going to tell you how to water and how often later on in the program. Fertilizing your lawn. This is probably one of the most important things that you can do. And it's important because just like anything else, your lawn needs to be fed to make it grow well. So it's important, why it's important to fertilize, what to buy, what the numbers mean, why not multiple ingredients, when to apply. The time to apply, of course, would be 4 times a year in April, June, August, and October. How much to apply. There's a lot of things that we were going to talk about and tips on saving money on fertilizer. Mowing, when you should mow. Never mow grass to get more height than you cut off more than 1/3 of the leaves off at one time. Some of the questions are, how high should I mow the grass? 1.5 to 2 inches during most of the season, 3 inches during hot season to help shade the ground, and 1 inch for the last mowing of the season. You should also change your mowing patterns, keep mower blades sharp, and always mulch. Don't catch your grass. You say, well, isn't that bad for your grass? Actually, no, it's just the opposite. When you look back at the studies that go on, 85% of grass clippings is water and nutrients that you've already put into your grass with the fertilizer. So by mulching, and if you cut your grass when you should and not let it get too high, mulching actually filters down inside of your grass and puts nutrient and actually moisture back into your ground. So it is always best to mulch if you can, because not only does it save you money because you're not buying grass bags, it's just better for your lawn overall. One of the things that you have to make sure that you do is you change your mowing pattern. If you mow the same way every time, as crazy as it sounds, your grass kind of gets a set to it. And it doesn't stand up the way it should because you're always mowing it in the same direction. So you need to make sure that on occasion you go a different direction. I probably have 4 different patterns that I mow my yard with, and that keeps the grass from getting used to mowing it the same way every time. And the grass blades have a tendency to bend down or not spring back the way they should. The other thing is to keep your mower blade sharp. The worst thing that you can do is not have a sharp blade, and this creates the grass to get torn rather than cut, and that makes the blade have trauma and turns brown on the end. So don't be afraid to go. If you feel you can do it yourself, you can. Just remember that if you do sharpen your own blade, you have to make sure that the blade is in balance, because otherwise it'll put undue stress on the arbor from your motor, the shaft from your motor. So I recommend that you take it to a local place that does blade sharpening. They charge a little bit of money, but it's always just best to let a professional do it if you're not comfortable in doing it yourself. Just remember that during certain times of the year, you may have to wait a while because everybody else is getting their blade sharpened too. So just remember that and kind of stay ahead of the game. Make sure at the end of the season that you take your mower blade out when they're not busy take it out, get it sharpened, so you'll be ready to go in the spring. And that way you don't have to worry about not having a blade for 5 or 6 days.
So Steve, here's a question. So should this be something you do in the wintertime to sharpen your blade? And then what about mulch? If it's too much, will that hurt your grass? And why do you mulch instead of bagging?
Well, a couple good questions. I only talk about taking your mower blade in during the wintertime because you'll be able to get it back in a timely manner. And if it doesn't, then you really don't need it. So it's always good to do those kind of things, even if you would like to have your mower itself do the maintenance on it. It's always best to wait till off season, and then these places that do it, they're not backed up, because in the summertime it can take some time to get around to you because everybody's doing the same thing. Mulching can only be done if you are used to mowing your lawn often. So there again, like I say, when we go back to the original slide, it's going to take time to have a nice lawn. So the more your lawn grows, because that's its intent, and the thicker it gets, the more you're going to mow it. So as long as you don't let it get too high and take off more than that third of the blade, then you'll be able to mulch without any problems. If your lawn gets away from you, I would still suggest that, unless it's really bad, I would suggest that you still go ahead and mulch, and then kind of just try to rake heavier parts up and bag that, rather than trying to bag the whole lawn. Because as I say, even though we don't think bags are expensive, they are, what, $3 or $4 for a handful of them, and we're just going to throw them away and take them to the landfill. Watering. There are good times and bad times to water. You should always water early in the morning. 1 to 2.5 inches per week minimum. Well, how do you go about watering that much? Well, it's pretty simple to do. If you have like Dixie cups and they're all the same size, you can take these out where your sprinkler is and set 4 or 5 of them up in an area and run your sprinkler for 20 minutes. And then you can take all 5 of those and then pour them in one and find out how much water is in it and divide it by 5. And that tells you how much water that you sprinkled your lawn in that given 20 minutes. So let's say we ended up with 5 cups and we had a total of, let's make it an inch. So you divide that and it ends up being 2/10 of an inch per cup in 20 minutes. So now you take that and you go ahead and say, well, I need to do 1 to 1.5 inches per week. So you divide it out to where then you'll know exactly how long to run the sprinkler to accomplish that amount of water. You can find this online too. It's a pretty easy calculation to do. The biggest thing is just make sure that all the devices that you put out to capture the water are the same size. You water 2 to 3 times a week rather than daily. And it's best to use a water timer to keep from overwatering. Now you can, again, go to your hardware store and find mechanical water timers for a relatively inexpensive cost. Some of them under $10. Now, you don't need digital ones. You don't need anything like that. Just a mechanical one that you put on your outdoor spigot, and then you attach the water hose or your sprinkler to it. And then depending on what you have decided on how much you need that water one area to get that desired amount of watering, then you just set it. And what's nice about that is if you buy one of these, you can go out and then start your front yard getting watered and go to the store, go to do whatever, and you know that you don't have to worry about hurrying home because the timer is going to shut the watering off, and you know that you've given it the right amount of water, the right amount of time, and you're not wasting water because, let's face it, water is expensive, and so you don't want to use any more than you absolutely have to. So a water timer is great to do that, and it makes it easy for you to set because no matter what you're watering, you're going to be able to know exactly how long to water and it will shut off on itself.
Steve, what about different sprinklers? So there's the ones that kind of in the picture go like this, and there's the ones that go really short and go long. Is there a difference? Because I know in neighborhoods you may have, or if you're in a duplex, you have a really small area, you don't want to be watering the sidewalk, but people are out walking. Is there kind of recommendation on what is best? And there's such a huge price difference on it. Any, not endorsing, but any ideas to help folks?
Well, I've never been fond of the sprinklers that you see in the picture here. And the reason why is because even though it will do a large area, you're losing a lot of that. If it's a windy day, I would say probably more than 50% of that water actually evaporates into the sky. So I prefer to have ones that you can adjust. I call them the kind of ones. And there you can kind of set it exactly the way you want it. You can not only dial in it for it to be a half moon, a quarter of a moon, or whatever, but you can also adjust the distance. So when I talk about this is the one in front of you is called an oscillating sprinkler. The other one is I'm not really sure what they call it, but it's kind of like you see them even in golf courses where it makes the hissing noise and it goes moves. So that's the one I would prefer because it's just more able to change the pattern to work for your given specifications.
Steve, we have a question. What is a reasonable amount of time to keep the sprinkler running, especially if I'm staying at home?
Well, there again, we talk about only needing 1 to 1.5 inches of water per week. Now, you may want to adjust that for your hot days in the middle of summer. But there again, the only way I can tell you to know for sure exactly how much water that you're watering is to do the little Dixie cup thing. And this doesn't take very long. Like I said, we go ahead and put like 4 or 5 Dixie cups out where it's going to sprinkle, turn your sprinkler on for 20 minutes, and then find out how much that you've sprinkled your lawn in that amount of time. So if it all comes into 1/2 inch, then you know that you're going to need to increase that by double 40 minutes, and that should give you your inch. So it's a calculation that's easy to do. And if you're not sure exactly what I'm talking about, just Google it, how to find out how much I am sprinkling with my sprinkler. And you'll find that calculation out there on the internet, and it'll explain it maybe a little bit better than I can. Lori, if you would, I kind of got carried away here. We need to go back a few slides and talk about the fertilizer. Kind of went through that a little quick. So I'm sorry, everyone, but I need to talk a little bit more about this. What to buy? You can go out and you can buy cheap fertilizer, more expensive fertilizer. I'm not in any way giving any brand name. There are some very good ones out there, but the ingredients that you see here are important because every bag has this, and you'll see where this one is a 12, 3, and 10. Well, the first number that you always see is your nitrogen, and the next number is your potassium, and your next one is your potash. So understand that better brands, those numbers will be higher. And do understand that the nitrogen is what makes your lawn green. The phosphorus is what feeds the lawn, and potash is what kind of helps neutralize the soil. So do understand that those numbers do mean something, and that we need to make sure that when you're looking at different brands, one that's $8 and one that's $12, what those numbers are in relation to each other, because that is what really tells you what you're buying. When we talk about I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. So when someone walks into a big retail store and they see a whole wall of these, and they start from, maybe single digits to double digits, how do you really know, like, is the 12, 3, 10 what you should be looking for? I mean, is this like we have to look in the back and look at the numbers? What do you do? Because you could spend a lot of money, or there's the gold version or the quick gold VIP version. What do you do?
Well, that is the biggest thing, is to do some research, and I could spend a whole program on just how to rate fertilizers. But this is just a quick glance at what you need to see. So let's say brand A has a 5, 1, and 7. And then the brand that you're looking at, B, has 12, 3, and 10. Well, obviously that is going to give you more of the things that you really need, and that would mean that the price would be more expensive because you're getting more of the 3 items that you need to make your lawn healthier. And let's face it, it does take time to fertilize, so you want to make sure that when you do it, that you do it the best you can while you're out there. So the numbers, like I say, it's just kind of like we talked about earlier, is cheaper brands, the numbers will not be the same. If you're looking for a lawn, if you're looking for something to make your lawn very green, then you'd have a high nitrogen content. If you're, that makes things green. It may not feed the lawn the way it should. So it's a combination of all those. And there again, rather than spending any more time here, it's just one of those things. It's a good opportunity for you to do some research. And but the numbers you see on the bag is just really for comparison. The higher the numbers, the more of that given item is in the bag, and would make your lawn better. So cheaper isn't always better, and this is a way to make that comparison. The next thing on this list that we got, well, back again, sorry. This is our first time we've done this lawn class for a while, so we're going to struggle here. We'll get there. Why not multiple ingredients? This is really important. I am a firm believer in not buying any type of product that has fertilizer and weed killer. It's very expensive, and most of the time the conditions have to be absolutely perfect for it to work. And you say, well, what do you mean? Well, when you go out and buy a combination fertilizer weed killer, the fertilizer itself must attach itself to the weeds, to the leaves of the weeds. So if you read the instructions, they'll usually ask you to do this early morning when the dew is on the blades of the grass. And it sometimes can be very difficult for it to work properly. So you're paying all this money. So let's say a regular bag of fertilizer would be $10. A fertilizer with Weed Be Gone or a weed supplement will cost you probably 3 times that. And it's very difficult to get it to work if the conditions aren't perfect. So my suggestion is to stick with your fertilizer, just fertilizer, not with insect repellent, not with weed kill, and get yourself a good quality lawn fertilizer and fertilize the times that I showed here: April, June, August, and October. And then we'll do the other things that the lawn needs with separate types of items or products that will be better off. So I'm sorry, I kind of went through that kind of fast. So those are very important. Like I say, when you get a Weed Be Gone product,
tell me when to move.
Yeah, you tell when you do the combinations, it's very, very expensive, and the conditions have to be perfect. So I think now we're done, Lori, with fertilizer. Weeds. This is a very interesting slide. This comes from Penn State, and according to Penn State's extension, approximately 250,000 species of plants worldwide. Of those, only 3% or 800 species behave as weeds. Weeds can be a constant battle. It is the most difficult thing that you'll have to contend with. And if you don't take care of the weeds, you will never have a good lawn. And most of you, or some of you that are watching this, may have nothing but weeds in your yard or very little grass. And they have to be controlled first before and in any way that you'll ever have a nice lawn. So weeds love hot, dry weather. So the summer is the most important time to try to make sure that you keep your weeds under control. Next slide, Lori. Most weeds are very easy to control, but there are some difficult ones. As you see here, dandelions and other broadleaf weeds. When I talk about broadleaves, I'm talking about thick, big leaves. All of us know what dandelions look like, and of course, it's very easy to see they have a very wide, thick blade that goes along with them. And they are very simple to take care of with a herbicide. Now, clover, chickweed, and other small leaves are more difficult. And don't let anybody tell you that clover in your yard is a good thing. You can go out there and try to find that four-leaf clover, but really and truly, any type of that weed, chickweed, clover, are detrimental to your lawn. And if you don't eradicate them, they will slowly but surely take over any good grass that you have. And these are the most difficult ones to take care of because they're smaller, they're very viney, and you may not be able to get them with the herbicide the first shot out. So you need to keep a track of it, and you may need to have a second or third application to completely get rid of that type of weed. Crabgrass. Crabgrass is a weed and needs control, and it's easily misdiagnosed. It's so easy to sit there and think, well, it's watergrass. I hear that all the time. Well, that's watergrass. This is the absolute hardest to get rid of. Luckily, in the last 4 or 5 years, the herbicide manufacturers have done a great job of finally getting a product that will eliminate crabgrass once it comes. So the best way to get rid of crabgrass is to make sure that it doesn't sprout to start with. And that is a little harder to do, but you'll need to get that pre-emergence product down. And there's several ones out there that are strictly for that. And if you put it down before the crabgrass starts, when we're talking about April, early May, the problem with that is once you put that down, then you can't rake your lawn. Because just understand this pre-emergence is kind of like putting a piece of visqueen down over your lawn. And it actually deters the germination of the seeds. So if you put this down and then 2 weeks later you rake your lawn, then it's kind of like raking the top of that piece of visqueen, and it breaks it open and allows the seeds to germinate. So just remember, you put a post-emergent crabgrass product down, not either rake your lawn beforehand, because once that gets down there, you should leave the soil alone for a while. Next slide. Crabgrass, it's creepy, it stems, it's root freely in nodes, and it's often a pest turf, and so it's awful. It's awful. As I was saying earlier, use a pre-emergence to stop it from growing. Kill crabgrass once. It's less costly than if you are killing the areas of crabgrass is growing in and out of the entire lawn. So a pre-emergent is best. And like I say, there's products out there from local hardware store brands to national brands that will take care of crabgrass and try to stop it before it starts. Next slide, please. There are certain kind of herbicides, and I've seen it happen. People go out and they buy the wrong product, and next thing you know, they've killed not only the vegetation and the grass that they don't want to kill. So the types of herbicide are a complete vegetation killer. And that means when you spray that on something, it doesn't matter whether it's a healthy blade of grass or whether it's the worst weed in the world. It will kill it. Then you have weed killer that will not harm the grass. So that's what you're looking for most times, is a weed killer. And now if you look, a lot of the products also include that they will kill crabgrass. That's what I was saying earlier, is they've done a great job. It used to be, dandelion, chickweeds, the normal stuff that's out there. But now most of the stuff have added a herbicide that will also take care of actively growing crabgrass. So it's really, really a better product. Now, there's several types of that. You can get the ready to use, and it's expensive. You say, well, what do you mean by expensive? Well, you can go out to any hardware store and buy a ready-made gallon of liquid. And all you have to do is just pump it up or pour it in a sprayer, and away you go. And it doesn't go very far. And it may, what you seem to think is relatively expensive, because it may, let's say, be $5 or $6 for this gallon container. But if you look next to that, you will see a 20-ounce concentrate that may cost $14, and that will make enough herbicide for you to use for maybe several years. And yes, you have to get a sprayer. We talked about that. They're under $10. Yes, you have to take the time to find out what mixture you need to put in there. But once you do that and you have that equipment, then you'll be able to understand just how much more economically the concentrate works. It's just much better, and it's works so much better than buying the stuff that is already put together, already in that gallon jug. Attach it to your hose, do whatever, and you'll find out that the concentrate is dollar for dollar, 100 times better buy. But there again, you'll have to take a little bit of time to mix it up and put it in your sprayer. So either some of them, if you want to, you can also go out to your hardware store and buy a lawn garden attachment, to where you can actually just pour that concentrate into the container that mixes it for you while you're spraying. And they cost a little bit more, probably $12, $14, and they work very, very well. And that way you don't have to mix it in your sprayer. You can just attach it to the garden hose, put the right amount of herbicide in the actual bottle itself, and then it will go ahead and as you squirt your lawn, it will mix the product the way it should, and you'll be able to use and kill large areas of your lawn, and it's a lot more convenient that way.
Steve, we have a question. We have one lady is coming and saying, weeds have taken over my grass, help me. And the second one, how do you get rid of quick grass?
Well, when you go to the hardware store, make sure you look on the product, on the herbicide, and see whether there's something that will actually do that. So many times they'll tell you on the back what that product will kill. And if you'd like to have a little more information, just to be, because I can't see everybody's issue, don't hesitate to go to a reputable lawn and garden shop. I think it's important that we know that you may pay a little bit more for their product at those places, but they will listen to you. They have experts that will help you, and sometimes just even taking the problem grass or weed with you, they can diagnose what it is. Now, you're not going to find that at a big box store. So don't expect to go to a big box store and go to the lawn and garden place and have somebody diagnose what kind of weeds you have. You will need to go to a true lawn and garden shop. Those that would, in some areas, you might know that they actually grow sod, some of your larger ones, and they are very, very well versed in telling you how to take care of certain items, because they grow grass themselves and they have the mixtures that they need grass seed wise, and they can help you kind of diagnose them for sure, just exactly what you have and the product that you can use to eradicate it. So they're very good at what they do, and they're always ready to help, because along with that, they'll probably be able to sell you something that will take care of it, and you're getting the right kind of product. But just do understand you'll probably pay a little bit more for that product at those places, because along with the product comes the knowledge that they give, and that does come with somewhat of a price.
And Steve, I was wrong. I said quick. It was quack. Quack like a duck.
Quack.
That was grass. Sorry. My bad. Thank you for catching me, our very astute viewer. And for all of you that are viewing with us, we have about 25 a week. Thank you so much. We have Steve Hartley here. We're going through Lawn Envy, the how-tos for a standout yard. And right now we're in the weeds section. And make sure you type in questions or comments. And I am trying my best to read it correctly. Thank you for catching me. And ask Steve these, because this is important, being able to help as we go. So Steve, I think this is your next slide.
You bet. When is the best time to kill weeds? Well, the best time to kill weeds is on a calm, dry day with no rain in the forecast for at least 4 hours. And the reason why I say that is the last thing you want to do is be trying to kill weeds in your yard, and all of a sudden the neighbor has a nice flower bed adjacent to your area, and the wind's blowing 20 miles an hour, and while you're trying to spray, some of that spray ends up in the neighbor's flower bed. So dry, calm days, and I say dry because the longer the product, if it's a wet product, which most of it is on the leaves before it rains, the better it will work. Now, I can assure you that most of the product today out there, again, has been made better to the point where, boy, some of them will even tell you that it'll work within an hour of it raining. I would try that, only because if it does wash off too soon, you're going to have to reapply. So there again, another great time to do this is in the morning. That's usually the calmest of the day. And so, you're still working, you get out there on a Saturday morning, and the lawn being wet will not affect the herbicide that you spray on. So again, I would suggest that you do it on a calm day, a dry day, and it's not going to rain for at least 4 hours. That will give you the maximum amount of time for the herbicide that you're spraying on to work. Make sure that you spray only the weeds and no surrounding plants. You don't know what other things could be affected by the herbicide that you're putting on the grass. It is made to make sure that it doesn't hurt the grass, but it could hurt other foliage or things that are nearby. So make sure you do your best to keep it off anything that you don't want to have the herbicide applied to. And don't forget the type of product that you have in your sprayer. I made the mistake one time that I had 2-gallon containers. And when you mix the product up, when I say different products, a weed killer and a foliage killer. And I made the mistake of not making sure I labeled what product was in what sprayer. And so the next time I grabbed a hold of what I thought was just herbicide for killing weeds, I grabbed a hold of the one that had actual foliage killer in it. And believe me, it was ugly. So if you have more than one container, which I did for convenience, make sure you label them so that if you have 2 different products available to you, you know which one to buy or which one to grab, because that was a personal experience that I did myself. So don't forget what product you have in there. Some people sometimes put a container full of complete vegetation killer, and then they don't know when they put it away that that's what's still in there, and they grab it. So just to be on the safe side, from a voice of experience here, that can happen very easily. Next slide. Insects. Most of the time, lawn insects aren't an issue, but we have some that can devastate a yard in a matter of weeks. Most of them aren't that big a deal. Underground animals feed off of them. So do understand, if you're having problems with moles, I can assure you, if you have moles, chances are you have insects, especially grubs. And we'll talk about grubs in a little bit. But that's what draws moles to your yard. So the first thing you need to do before you try to get rid of the moles, which are very difficult to do, is to make sure that you put a lawn application in to kill any insects that are in your lawn, because that's what they feed off of. Most common lawn insects that feed on grasses cause real damage. Some of those are cutworms, cinch bugs, sod webworms, and hunting bill bugs, grubs. Grubs can destroy a lawn very quickly. And that is probably, especially in the Midwest, that they are very quick to take over a lawn. And guess what? You'll never probably see many grubs in that neighbor's lawn that's full of weeds, because it's kind of like anything else. If you're going to go somewhere to eat, do you want to go to McDonald's, or do you want to go to a smorgasbord where you have a real good variety of food? So grubs will attack and be more prevalent in lawns that are established and that are well maintained, because they don't have far to go and they can eat real good. Next slide, please. These are grubs, and grubs can destroy a lawn and you won't even know it because what you see there is not what you see in your lawn. They eat the roots of your grass and you cannot see them unless you go digging. Telltale signs of grubs. If you know you're getting a lot of irrigation on a specific spot or your yard, and all of a sudden you see a large brown area that you know it's getting watered, you don't understand why that area is getting brown. Well, chances are, if you go over to that area and you try to pull the grass up, if it comes up very easily, what has happened is the grubs have eaten the roots of the grass, and it's gone. It's no longer a viable area of grass. So you may have to get your little lawn shovel out and start digging around. If you see them, they'll be somewhere between an inch and a half under the ground, and they'll be very easy to see once you start digging. They will destroy a lawn in no time if they aren't treated. Next slide. Preparing your lawn or repairing your lawn. We've talked about how to fertilize, when to fertilize, how to mow, when to mow, how to water, when to water, to take care of not only weeds, but also insects. So now we've talked about all that. When is the best time to repair your lawn? Well, you may be surprised of when that is. But the first thing you need to do is rake the lawn with a stiff rake. Now, I know that can be difficult if you have a large lawn. And if you do, you can go rent a power rake from a rental store. It's very easy to use, and it does a great job. Another thing you can do is rent or have your lawn aerated. This one is a tough one. I would not suggest that the majority of people try to do this type of work. I used to do it when I was younger. I give it up. These things are very heavy. They pull you around the yard. So it's very, very cumbersome. And for what most lawn services charge to aerate your yard, it's just easier for you to have it done. Why do you want to aerate your lawn? Well, believe it or not, depending on the type of soil you have, it gets very compacted. And so therefore it makes it difficult for air and water and nutrients to get down to the roots of the grass. So by aerating the lawn, and basically what that does is the machine comes along and pokes like 1-inch holes in the ground. And when they're done, some areas clean up the mess, others just leave it because it doesn't hurt anything, then you'll have a large area of spots where the soil can get fresh air and nutrients and water, and that gets there all that to the root of your grass. And you should do that, depending on your soil, at least every 2 to 3 years to help your service or your lawn be better than what it is. Again, this is hard work. And even though you can buy or rent this type of equipment, unless you're a hardy person, it would be best to just call a lawn service and have them do the work for you. Overseed your lawn. There again, I would not recommend going to your big box store. And even if you get a good quality seed, it isn't as good as what you could buy from a reputable lawn and garden store. They usually have seed in bulk. It probably has a lot less weeds in it, because no matter what kind of seed you get from a big box store, there'll be a percentage of weeds in it. And all you're doing then is just overseeding your yard with more weeds. Don't expect to get a good seed cheap. A good grass seed will cost you a good amount of money. And so there again, it's the difference between stuff that's in a big box store versus something at a actual lawn and garden store, to where you're getting a better product. And they can tell you the type of seed that you need. If you have a lot of area that's out in the sun, then the mixture of fescues and bluegrass that they give you will accommodate those areas better. If you have some areas that are shady during the day or don't get as much sun as possible at the rest of the lawn, then they can sell you a mixture of seed that will work better there. There again, they're the knowledgeable ones, and you pay a little more at those places, but overall you get a better product, and they'll listen to your needs, and you can buy what is best for your lawn and your application. Apply starter fertilizer to the area you have reseeded. You have to understand that just like anything else, when you start the seed, you need a little help. Give them a little food. So there's starter fertilizer that is made specifically for areas that you reseed, and you need to put that down first before you reseed your lawn. If you only have a small area that needs repaired, buy patch product. There is a good patch products out there that the seed is embedded into what looks like a paper product, like insulation from years ago, and you can just buy those in a bag, and then you just put those areas in the small spots that need repaired, keep them watered, and within a week or so, you'll see the grass coming up there. And it's a lot easier to do that than trying to go out. And now if you have a large area, then that's a different story. You'll need to buy something that will do a larger area. But for small areas, and it's very easy to see, very easy to find. You just need to go to and you can get that product at a big box store. You don't have to worry too much about that. It's all pretty much the same stuff. Next slide. You have to rake your area that you need to kind of break the soil up. If you have a lot of hard clay, or you have an area that's just not very suitable, then you need to kind of break that top area up. You'll need to water several times a day if possible. Now, you don't need to water a long time, because you know the grass that you're trying to get to grow is on the surface. So it's the main thing is to be able to keep that grass seed moist until it starts developing roots. And doing that, you need to do it water 2, 3 times, 4 times a day, depending on the soil conditions and the amount of sunshine and the heat of the day. So you have to keep those safe and moist. So, and you might want to also, if you're doing a big area, possibly put down some buy yourself a bale of hay and spread it over the area, and that keeps the moisture in. So anything you can then first week or so to keep the seeds moist will help you have better results in the long run. On warm days and cool nights, the seed should germinate in 5 to 30 days, depending on the type of seed and, of course, the ground temperature. So try to stay out of those areas until it needs mowed. But if the grass is high enough to be mowed, don't be afraid to mow that area, but be very careful when you use your mower so that you don't make any twists or turns that might disrupt the roots or put any gouges into that area or have excessive foot traffic during the time that you're repairing the lawn.
So, Steve, we have a good question. So a lot of areas, they're the real professional and specified lawn and garden stores maybe aren't there. So you have larger box stores. Any tips to kind of helping find who may know it? And then another, how long will grass seed stay viable? So where can you find it if you're doing a big box store, not to endorse, but like, is there any tips to go find someone who might know it, like a manager? And then how long will the grass seed stay available?
Well, that is a good question, because if you don't have a good, viable lawn and garden store, then it is difficult. I would suggest if you go to your box stores, and we're there again, not endorsing anything, but let's get it out at Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, any of those places. Try to find someone that might be the manager of that lawn and garden store. Because most of those kind of stores have someone who oversees that area, and they might be a little more knowledgeable about that. And don't hesitate to say, "Hey, I'm here. Do you have someone that's a little more knowledgeable?" Because if you're just out there and little Johnny's there working part-time, he's not going to know. So it is somewhat difficult to do. And there again, we live in an age where so much is available to you online. Don't hesitate to Google best grass seed, most this or that, and find out what they say, and then use that knowledge to go out and seek that seed, whether you buy it online or whether you go to your big box stores. There's some good stuff out there that you can find on the internet that might steer you in the right direction of what to buy if you can't have that knowledge coming from a actual quality lawn and garden shop. And
So
what was your question?
So if you bought seed last year, can you still use it the following year? Like, what's the shelf life?
Well, actually, it doesn't go bad as long as you keep it dry and you keep it in a condition where that it doesn't get any moisture. Now, I can tell you that some people will say, well, before you put the grass seed out, put it in the refrigerator for a couple days, and because that will make it germinate faster because it's been in the cool, and then you take it out in the warm. I don't really know whether that got any validity to that or not. I don't myself think should make much difference, but that is just kind of one of those things that some people tell you to do, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. But it should stay good for a long time. It's kind of like a bulb, a gladiolus bulb. As long as you take care of it, it will stay in that dormant position for a while. Now, I can't say that after several years that it would do any good, but if, let's say, you bought grass seed in the fall, it should still be viable in the spring, and it still should be fine. Next. One of the things that we have to do is we have to prepare your lawn for winter. Now, right now, we're in the middle of summer, and my suggestion would be to everybody at this point in time, your main concern, the main thing that you need to do is to eradicate your weeds. You need to kill your weeds. Planting grass at this time of year is not recommended. And you say, well, why not? Well, because it's the heat of summer, and you're having a hard enough time just trying to keep your lawn going. So trying to grow grass is really just not beneficial at all. And so at this time of the year, the thing you need to worry about the most is to eradicate your weeds and make sure that you keep your grass mowed and fertilized and watered. And that will help, because once you get rid of the weeds, it will help the other grass shoot more sprouts and be healthier. So right now, I would not suggest that you go out and spend 2 days working in your lawn other than getting rid of your weeds. But as we go into the fall, actually that is the best time of the year to plant grass seed, because it's of a lot of reasons. So preparing your lawn for winter kind of falls into that area. You clean your lawn, down leaves, do not. And I know it's a chore if you have a lot of leaves or a lot of trees in your yard, but leaving the leaves on your grass is very detrimental. It keeps the moisture, it keeps the sunlight, keeps everything from getting where it needs to be for your lawn. You need to lower the cutting height of your mower by a setting. And in the fall, you don't need to have it so high, and you need to cut it down a little shorter so that the sun, as it gets lower in the sky, continues to be in the area and help stimulate the roots. And then you want to fertilize anytime in October. And that is probably the most important fertilization of the year, because it's kind of like the squirrels going out there and getting their nuts for the winter. It needs to last all year, so or the rest of the winter. So it is the most important fertilization time of the year, is in October, late October, depending on where you're at and how quickly the grass goes dormant. And continue to cut your grass until it stops growing. There has been many a year that I'm still cutting grass at Thanksgiving. If we've had a warm fall and everything, as long as it's growing, you need to cut it. And then once grass is no longer growing, when you know you've not seen any growth whatsoever, lower the cutting height again for one last mowing. And the reason for that is you are preparing the lawn against snow mold and some of the things that happen during the winter months. If you leave your lawn at a high length in the fall, and then it snows, and then the snow pushes the blade of the grass over, and if you have low spots in your yard, then that snow stays there, and it can actually create snow mold. And you'll notice that in the spring by big brown areas, because it's actually a fungus, and that's because the blades of the grass have molded, and because snow's been on it and pushed it down and it laid over. So it's really important that last mowing of the year, when you don't really want to do it and you're ready to put the mower away, go ahead and set that mower height down one more time, even if some areas, and you need to be careful so you don't scalp the grass, but to keep it as short as possible going in the winter months. There again, for the sunlight to get to the roots, for the nutrients and everything to get down there, and to keep any kind of mold or disease from appearing during the winter months. Next slide. Finishing touches. You can have a beautiful lawn, and if it isn't manicured, it still doesn't look nice. So there are a few things that you need to know that makes a big difference in how well, once you've got the weeds gone, once you've got great grass growing, it's beautiful color. These are the things that's going to set your lawn out more than anybody else's. Always trim around the items in your yard. Trees, mailbox, lampposts, fences, and any other landscaping, trim them up. It's kind of like getting a haircut. You have to go out there and make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. Use an edger to trim along your sidewalk, driveway, and curbing. You would be amazed at just having that nice straight line out in front of your lawn as you go down the sidewalk and around and up and down the driveway. It makes the yard look so much nicer. It gives it that finish appeal to it. Make sure that you do the mowing and the trimming around flower beds and keep those at a sharp cut and angle so that everything looks good. Clean the grass clippings from your driveway. You know, it just makes things look unkept. Whether you have a broom or a blower or whatever, it just makes everything look so much nicer when you don't have the grass clippings that you've just done mowing your yard on the sidewalk and on the curb. I have to tell you this little quick story. Years ago when I was still a kid, my mom and dad had a house on somewhat of a hill. And my dad would go and mow, and he didn't like to mow. He was not a yard person. So he would get done as quickly as he could, and he didn't care one way or the other. Well, it just so happened that we had some relatives of ours that lived at the end of the block, and the next time it rained, all those grass clippings ended up down by their yard. So needless to say, there was a couple phone calls early on saying, hey, clean up your mess because that's down in front of my house. So do understand that if you're in a neighborhood where there's curbing and the water can flow and you don't clean up your mess, it may be in front of somebody else's house and they probably don't appreciate it, especially if they're trying to have a very nice lawn. So take care of your grass, clean it up, and make sure that it doesn't become a cumbersome issue for a neighbor or someone down the street. Next slide. So we're about done here. I do want to thank everybody again for taking the time out of your day to try to learn a little bit about making your yard nicer, making it the envy of the neighborhood. And so a real quick summary of what we've talked about here today is to have a nice lawn, it takes effort. If you believe that you can have a nice lawn without doing some work yourself, you're not. And you can't leave it up to the lawn service. I'm not fond of lawn service because they're there to make money, and I just don't particularly care for the way they go about doing things. So I've not had one for years. They are expensive. I don't want to say they don't put the product on that they should. I have no idea. That's one of the problems I have is here he comes, rubber boots on, out comes the garden hose. They're there 5 minutes, spray as quickly as they can, and they're gone. And then you get a $50, $60, $80 bill. So I'm not fond of that. When you do the work yourself, when you are the one applying the product, you know what you're putting on there and you know the results. So I'm not a big fan of commercial services. If you don't want the work and you let them do that, do understand they're only going to do what they're serviced to do. It's still up to you to water. It's still up to you to mow. And it's still up to you to manicure your lawn because all they're doing is fertilizing and weed killing. So there are still responsibilities that you need to take to have a nice lawn, even if you use that service. Don't expect miracles. Don't expect miracles. If you start today and you do not have a very nice lawn, and you start today with getting rid of the weeds, and then you take care of the yard the rest of the year, and you do the things that we've talked about with grass seed in the fall, because that's the best time to do grass seed, because the ground is warm, the daytime temperatures aren't as bad, and so it's a perfect time to grow grass is in the fall. When I say fall, mid to late September, because the grass will germinate, the ground is still warm, and that's the best time to overseed and do some of the things that we've talked about. But even at that, the best you can hope for is maybe a significant improvement by the end of next summer. And this is why most people give up, because they think they can do it kind of like weight loss. You know, you think you can, I'm going to do this, and then you get frustrated and you give up. Don't give up. Please don't give up, because the end results are so much nicer. And the more that your yard is nice, the less time you spend killing weeds, less time you spend doing the preventive maintenance, because once you get it where you need it, it's much easier to take care of. As it says here, it may take 2 full summers to see the results that you want. It really depends on your lawn today and how soon you start to see the results. But I don't want to make it any more clearer than people who have beautiful lawns didn't get them overnight, and they take time and be patient and don't give up, and get the kind of people involved that you need to give you the right examples, get you the right seed, get you the right product. And if you do all that we've talked about this last hour or so, I can guarantee you that you'll see the results that you're hoping for. And in retrospect, the actual lawn you're looking at is my lawn. So when you do it right, these are the results. It's really nice to be able to have a lawn this way, and I'm proud of it. It's took a lot of time, but I love it. I'm out there working in it, making sure I spot weed and all that. But these are the results if you'll do the things that I asked you to do today.
Thank you, Steve. That was great. That was right on an hour. It was wonderful. And thank you for everyone who's making comments. Thank you, Steve. Steve is a volunteer. He's the best. He teaches so many classes, and I get to be behind the scenes, and Steve makes it look so easy, but it's bringing such impact to people's lives. And I thank you. So anyways, we're going to have Steve back in the coming weeks to teach our technology classes, and we say smartphones. So when you see us posted, make sure you register, because we're learning how to do it the right way. And we're going to make sure we send you a link, either with your confirmation or after with a link to where to watch it. If it is on Facebook, we'd love for you to share it, because we want everyone to learn. And it's going to be a 3-part series. We're going to have more cooking classes in the fall, every month. And we're going to have a lot of live conversations. And we're getting a lot of great thank yous to Steve. We appreciate it. So we thank you all. And so anyway, thank you guys very much. AARP is committed to being part of the community, helping with your financial, personal fulfillment, and health and wellness. And I would be remiss if I didn't say this, that AARP is fighting right now and advocating as on the national front as they go into negotiations to the last COVID-19 relief package before the end of, we believe, to November. We are advocating and fighting for a relief package in there for nursing home residents and the loved ones in there. So a lot of things we're fighting. We're talking about PPE. We're talking about virtual visitation, the 5-point plan. Come to our website, find more information. We have resources if you want to contact your congresswoman or man. So thank you all. We appreciate it. Steve and I are going to say goodbye from our homes to yours, and our dogs and your dogs and our kids and your grandkids. It's what it is. So thank you guys. Be healthy, be safe, take care. Steve, as always, you're the best. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.